Welcome back to bravesbirdsdfs, and today we are going to talk about 5 NFL quarterbacks who are probably getting fired, if not during the season, definitely after the conclusion of the 2024 NFL season. And it's okay because all of us, whether you work at 7 or 11, or whether you have an office on the 27th floor overlooking a beautiful park, there's only 4 ways to leave a job. One of the ways is tragic. We'll just get it out there. Sometimes you die, sometimes there's an accident. We're going to eliminate that one. So we got it down to 3 ways to leave a job. So, number one, you retire. Oh, it's great. You got the sheet cake. You got the pen you can wear around so when you go to Walmart, everybody can know that you were at that company for 30 years. Maybe they fly in your son and daughter that live in Seattle that you haven't seen in a while. They find a way to get your wife up there and she surprises you. You got the Papa Johns and the Dominoes, and it's just a great situation. You retire, got a little plaque. Look, they went to Things Remembered and got you a plaque. That's one way to leave a job. You retire. Number two, you quit or resign because you got a better job, you won the lottery, whatever. And we've been there. I think most of us have been there. When you quit or resign because you got a promotion or for a good reason, it is a great feeling because those last 2 weeks at your job, nobody can tell you anything because you don't care because you've already got your promotion. You can just, you don't want to act a fool because you never want to burn bridges ever. But it's just a surreal feeling when you quit or resign from a job for good reasons. But a lot of us, that third reason, and this is what we're talking about today, when you get laid off or fired. And it's a terrible situation because it has reverberations beyond you to your family. But for everybody on this list we're talking about today, they're filthy rich. So we don't have to worry. Granted, they're humans, so they can be sad and disappointed and embarrassed, but they are not going to be, at the Social Security office trying to get benefits because they can't pay their bills. All right, so let's jump into it. And the number 5 quarterback on my list, we have Jacoby Brissett. So Jacoby Brissett, this is his sixth team and his ninth year in the NFL. And it just feels like since he arrived in the NFL, he has been a bridge quarterback. He's never had a season. He's never had back-to-back seasons where he started 15 games. Once again, he is always, a seat warmer, and the person that he's warming a seat for, either the next season or in the middle of the season, ends up taking his starting job, or he'll get injured, or it just doesn't work out. Now, Jacoby Brissett is number 5 on this list because he's 31 years old. And we know that if you can throw a football even almost straight, and you're a former NFL quarterback, you could be working on a farm on tractors. You will get a text message from a GM 4 years later, and they will try to add you to their team. So, Jacoby Brissett, yeah, he's getting close to the fired, laid off kind of portion of his career. But you know what? He's a quarterback and he's only 31, so anything is possible. Now, number 4, this one is more likely to happen because this guy is much, much older than Jacoby Brissett. Matter of fact, he's 41 years old. And there are only 5 active quarterbacks right now who have started and won a Super Bowl. You have Patrick Mahomes, obvious, duh. You have Matthew Stafford. You have Russell Wilson. You have Aaron Rodgers, and you have our number 4 player, Joe Flacco. So, yeah, Joe Flacco, he's moved around a lot at the end of his career, but he managed to win that Super Bowl back with the Baltimore Ravens and had some pretty good years. And he has been the stopgap, for a lot of teams and played well. Even this year with the Colts, when Anthony Richardson was injured and just not playing well and looked like he quit on the team, it looked like Joe Flacco was going to have, this team in cruise control on the way to the playoffs, and it just didn't work out. I mean, he's played 20 years in the league. He's 40 something years old. And as somebody in their 40s, I mean, and I didn't even obviously play in the NFL for 20 years, even just one day. I know if I heard how I heard this guy, I mean, at the end of this season, it's over. I mean, he's very brilliant. So I mean, I can definitely see a situation where he's a coach and he doesn't get in trouble. So he's just a backup another year. But I'm going to put him number 4 on this list, and I'm going to have Joe Flacco. All right, so number 3, this one might not age well. Maybe something, I hope so. I'm a big Falcons fan. Maybe something will happen and the page will turn. But if you said, Walter, go down to MGM and make an old school bet in person at the window, will Kirk Cousins, is this the end for Kirk Cousins? I'm going to say yes. 13 years in the league. He's 36 years old. He got the bag. A lot of people were confused about that. And I know you're like, Walter, the Falcons have to keep him. And with his contract, once the Falcons eat all of that dead cap, another team will pick him up. That might be the case, but if you just watch Kirk Cousins play over the past few games, he just doesn't look like the same person. Now, once again, he plays for my Falcons, and the Falcons always find a way to falc things up. That's what they like to do. So it could be a situation where he's just got that Falcon stink on him, and he'll take his bags of money and maybe go to Miami, to the Dolphins, some other team, and win a Super Bowl. But speaking of that, he doesn't have a strong playoff pedigree. So he's not like some of these players where it's like, you know what, if we can just get to the playoffs, maybe we can add Kirk. I mean, he just doesn't have that pedigree. All right, so this number 2 player, speaking of the 5 players who have started and won a Super Bowl, it was a long time ago, but it happened. We have Aaron Rodgers. Yes, 20 seasons in the NFL, 41 years old. I mean, it's time. We know he had the injury on the first game of the season, last year. And we know this year it just hasn't worked out. The Jets surrounded him with some good players. The Jets on paper, and we know we don't play football on paper or any sport. The Jets on paper look like a team where if you had Aaron Rodgers, you could win some games. But if the Falcons like to falc things up, then the Jets like to jet it up, or whatever people in New York and New Jersey say about how the Jets find a way to mess things up. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he said recently that, if he comes back to play, he'll play for the Jets. But I'm putting him at number 2. I think at the end of this season, that is it. I don't know what he is going to do. Maybe he'll start a podcast like everybody else. Maybe he'll get, some kind of, hut in the Yukon of Canada. Who knows what will happen? But I think at the end of this year, it's the end of the line for Aaron Rodgers. And then number 1, you're not surprised. You are not surprised. His 8th year in the NFL ended in injury, and it's just been a cluster. And it's been so long that we forget that for 3 years, when this guy, Deshaun Watson, was in Texas, he was looking like a Hall of Famer. He was looking like someone that was going to challenge for the MVP award every year. And we know how he was at Clemson. He was the best quarterback in college football for 2 straight years. I mean, Deshaun Watson, until things went off the rail, and I don't have to tell you how they went off the rails. I mean, until that happened, it was just very interesting. But there is hope for Deshaun Watson. We know that Michael Vick was down bad way worse than this. Michael Vick was in prison, Leavenworth, pumping iron, reading books, meal loaf, and came back and resurrected his career and his reputation. So if Michael Vick can go from meal loaf to being on Fox Sports Net and, just having a good second part of his career with the Eagles, I hold out some hope for Watson, but I don't know. I just think that we might have seen Watson as far as a starter for the last time this year. So let me know your thoughts. Leave comments. In the comments section. If you haven't already, check out my other videos. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.